There's a moment, subtle, quiet, when something shifts deep inside a man. It doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't come with applause. It comes in stillness, in silence, usually when no one is watching. Maybe it's after a long day at work, when your kid looks up at you with tired eyes. Maybe it's in the car, alone, with a song that brings memories you forgot you had. Maybe it's when you catch your own reflection in a window, and for a split second, you don't recognize the man looking back. It's the question that shakes something inside you. Is this really who I want to be? Not who people think you are. Not what your resume says. Not the version you post online. But you. Raw. Real. The man beneath the mask. And if you're honest, brutally honest, maybe the answer scares you. Because deep down, most men aren't afraid of failing. They're afraid of succeeding at the wrong things. You chase the promotion. You chase the house. You chase status, respect, admiration. But at the end of the day, when all the chasing stops, who are you really? Here's the truth. The world doesn't need more men chasing likes. It doesn't need more men chasing clout. The world needs good men. And no, I don't mean nice men. I mean good men. There's a difference. A good man doesn't do what's easy. He does what's right. A good man protects, even when no one's in danger. He provides, not just money, but presence, wisdom, calm. He corrects, gently but firmly, when truth must be spoken. He comforts, not with empty words, but with quiet strength. He sacrifices, because he understands that real love is inconvenient. A good man isn't waiting to be recognized. He's too busy taking responsibility. See, you can tell the difference between a man who wants attention and a man who wants accountability. And if you're still listening, maybe something inside you is waking up. Maybe you're tired of being half alive, of floating through days that all look the same, of trading your time, the most sacred thing you have, for distractions that leave you empty. Maybe the man inside you is whispering again. This isn't it. There's more. You're meant for more. And he's right. But here's the price of stepping up. You will be misunderstood. You will be mocked. You will be labeled too intense, too serious, too much. Because most people are addicted to average. They're comfortable with numbness. They fear the man who feels deeply, who thinks clearly, who moves intentionally. They'll say, "Why do you care so much? Why are you pushing yourself like that? You've changed." And they'll be right. Because you have changed. You've decided that fitting in isn't worth what it costs. You've decided that the opinions of people who settle aren't worth more than the approval of the man in the mirror. You've decided that just getting by is no longer an option. This is your calling, not some mystical, abstract thing, but a quiet resolve, a decision to stop existing and start living, to stop blaming and start building, to stop waiting and start becoming. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because the world is already full of men who run. It's full of men who hide behind distractions, addictions, excuses. What the world isn't full of is you, fully awake, fully alive, fully responsible. So I'll ask you again, who are you becoming? And this time, answer like everything depends on it. Because it does.
There's a war inside every man. Not a war of bullets and bombs, but of voices. Two voices, battling for control. One says, take it easy. Don't risk anything. Stay where it's safe. The other whispers, you were made for more. And in that silence, you feel the weight. Not from others, from yourself. Because deep down, you know what you're capable of. You know what you've been avoiding. You know the man you could be if you stopped lying to yourself. That's the battle, not against the world, but against your own comfort. Ego is loud. Purpose is quiet. Your ego tells you you're the smartest man in the room. Your purpose tells you to shut up and learn. Your ego wants the credit. Your purpose wants the impact. Your ego needs applause. Your purpose? It's fine in the shadows. And this is where most men lose. They trade what's eternal for what's immediate. They sell out for validation. They climb the wrong ladder faster and call it success. But deep down they know. They feel the hollowness. They've mastered the art of pretending. But you can only pretend for so long before it eats you alive. You ever look around and feel like no one else gets it? Like you're walking through life on a different frequency? That's not loneliness. That's alignment. Because very few people will ever truly understand a man who's chosen to become real. It's lonely. At first. When you stop drinking just to fit in, when you stop gossiping just to be liked, when you stop chasing women, approval, dopamine. It's lonely when you wake up at 5 a.m. and your friends say, "Why are you doing all this?" It's lonely when you tell the truth and people say, "You've changed." But let me tell you something. Loneliness isn't the enemy. Compromise is. Being liked by everyone means you've bent so much, you've become unrecognizable. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to build something. And sometimes building requires breaking. Breaking habits, breaking beliefs, breaking free from the version of yourself that everyone else is comfortable with. There's a moment in every man's life when he realizes not everyone will come with him. And that's okay. You're not supposed to carry everyone, but you are supposed to carry yourself. Because no one else is coming to save you. No one's going to pull you out of the fog. No one's going to suddenly hand you the confidence, the strength, the discipline. Want it? Earn it. Through repetition, through sacrifice, through quiet obedience to what you know is right. Even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when it feels like no one cares. And here's the irony. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll say you're too intense. They'll try to pull you back into the old ways. Why? Because your transformation threatens their comfort. The moment you raise your standard, they feel exposed. Not because you're judging them, but because your life now reflects what they could have done. You became the mirror. And most people don't like looking in the mirror. So you'll walk alone sometimes. You'll eat meals alone. Work out alone. Think deeply while others scroll endlessly. You'll wrestle with your thoughts, question your worth, doubt your ability. And that's okay, because the fire inside you will not die. It may flicker, it may weaken, but it will not die. Not if you keep showing up. You don't need perfect clarity. You don't need constant motivation. You need this. The decision to keep going. The decision to become the man you said you'd be. Even when no one's clapping, even when you're dead tired, even when it feels like no one understands. Because you understand. And sometimes, that's enough. Let the others laugh. Let them doubt you. Let them play safe. But you made a decision. And that decision, to take the narrow path, to embrace the inner war, to quiet the ego and awaken the mission, that decision changes everything. Something shifts when you stop lying to yourself. It's not loud, it's not cinematic, but it's undeniable. It happens in moments, when you say no to something that once owned you, when you say yes to something that scares you, when you wake up and, for the first time in a long time, feel the spark of clarity. You realize you've been sleepwalking, living on autopilot, existing instead of living. And now you're waking up. Waking up doesn't mean you have all the answers. It just means you've stopped pretending you don't have questions. You start seeing the games, the fake smiles, the empty achievements. You realize success without meaning is just a fancy form of failure. You realize comfort has a cost, that all the things you thought were wins, the compliments, the promotions, the surface-level trophies, none of it matters if the man earning them is dying inside. So you stop chasing approval. You stop trying to impress people you don't respect. You stop living for an applause that never really filled you. And that's when it begins. The awakening. You begin to notice the moments you used to miss. How your breath slows when you're honest. How your shoulders relax when you stop pretending. How powerful it feels to say, no, I won't live like this anymore. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop postponing your purpose. You stop believing that you need permission to be who you are. You were always enough. You just forgot. Because the world taught you to be less, to shrink, to stay small, to stay quiet. And for a while, you listened. You betrayed yourself to belong. You laughed at things that weren't funny, agreed with things you didn't believe in, numbed pain that was trying to teach you something. But now, you're starting to remember who you are, what you want, what you were born to become. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no switch, but day by day, you feel it. The temptation to stay small gets weaker. The need for validation gets quieter. The pull toward purpose grows louder. And for the first time, you don't feel lost. You feel called. But here's the part no one tells you. Awakening hurts. It means losing people. It means letting go of habits that kept you comfortable. It means looking in the mirror and finally seeing the cost of your silence. You'll grieve the old you, the one who smiled to keep the peace, the one who avoided risk to stay safe, the one who lowered his voice so others could feel tall. That version of you had a purpose too. He kept you alive. But now, he's in the way. You're not here to just survive anymore. You're here to build. You'll start noticing things others ignore. The way someone's eyes dim when they lie. The heaviness behind people's smiles. The emptiness in shallow victories. You'll want depth. You'll want truth. You'll want real. And you'll start to walk away from anything that feels fake.
even if it means walking alone. Because once you awaken, you can't go back to sleep. Not without betraying everything you've just rediscovered. And here's the wildest part. You'll become dangerous. Not in the way the world fears, but in the way the world respects. Dangerous in your clarity. Dangerous in your discipline. Dangerous in your refusal to settle. Because a man who knows who he is can't be manipulated. A man who walks in purpose can't be bought. A man who's awakened becomes unstoppable. Not because he's perfect, but because he's willing. Willing to be misunderstood. Willing to be alone. Willing to rebuild from scratch. Willing to suffer for something bigger than comfort. So here you are, in the middle of the awakening. And the only question that matters now is, will you honor it? Will you keep listening to that voice that's been trying to get your attention? Will you keep moving even when the path feels unclear? Will you keep fighting even when the old version of you tries to pull you back? This is your life. This is your awakening. Don't sleep through it again.
If becoming your true self were easy, everyone would do it. But they don't. They scroll, they settle, they wait for someday. Because the road to greatness, it's not paved in comfort. It's paved in blood, sweat, rejection, and silence. You want the mountain? You're going to bleed for every step. Discipline isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It doesn't make for flashy reels or catchy slogans. It's quiet. It's brutal. It's boring. It's waking up early when your body screams no. It's doing reps when no one's counting. It's writing the 10th paragraph when your mind wants to quit at 2. And that's where most people fall. Because they think greatness is one big decision. But it's not. It's thousands of small ones, every day, every hour, every moment. Do I quit or continue? Do I hide or speak? Do I cut corners or go the long way? There's no life hack for becoming a man of substance. You want strength? You'll lift more than weights. You'll lift burdens. You'll carry pain. You'll bear the responsibility of being the anchor when everyone else drifts. And people will tell you you're too intense. They'll say you care too much, that you should lighten up, smile more, chill out, take it easy. But here's the truth. They want you to slow down because it makes their mediocrity more comfortable. You rising makes their stagnation louder. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your presence, your focus, your grind. It reminds them of who they could be. And instead of rising with you, they'll try to pull you back. Don't let them. Be the guy who trains through pain, who works through exhaustion, who shows up, rain or shine. Be the guy who's so focused on his mission, distractions feel like insults. Be the guy who understands that hard is not a reason to stop. It's the reason to begin. You know why Kobe Bryant worked out before every game? Not just to prepare, but to outwork you. One player once arrived 4 hours early to the arena. Thought he'd beat everyone to the gym. But Kobe was already there, drenched in sweat, locked in. He didn't stop until that player left. When asked why, he said, "I wanted you to know, no matter how hard you work, I'll always outwork you." That's the mindset. Not for praise, not to be seen, but because obsession is the only way you get better than excellent. You want to be confident? Fail more. Risk more. Put yourself in situations where you might lose and learn how to keep standing. You want to be patient? Stop asking the world to move faster. Start building something that takes time. You want to be tough? Then get hurt and come back anyway. Every trait you want, strength, clarity, grit, has a price, and that price is usually pain. But here's the beautiful part. Pain is a sculptor. It doesn't destroy you. It carves away everything that isn't you, if you let it. You want legacy? Then become the man who shows up regardless. Regardless of applause, regardless of outcome, regardless of how he feels. That's what separates the strong from the weak. Weak men chase results. Strong men chase commitment. They don't wait to feel inspired. They act and let the feeling catch up later. Because they understand one truth: consistency beats intensity every time. The world will sell you pleasure, distraction, numbness. But don't buy it. Buy pain. Buy struggle. Buy loneliness, grit, and raw endurance. Because on the other side of that transaction is freedom. Let this sink in. Your future is being shaped by the decisions you're making right now. Not the big ones, the small, invisible ones. Every time you choose to rise instead of retreat, you change the trajectory of your life. Every hard choice you make now softens the path for the man you're becoming. And when that future self looks back, he won't thank you for avoiding pain. He'll thank you for walking through it. So yeah, this road is hard, but it's the right one. And every step you take proves to the world and to yourself that you were not just willing to walk it, you were born for it.
You won't live forever. No matter how strong you are, no matter how disciplined, wise, driven, one day, your heart will beat for the last time. And in that moment, you won't care how many likes you got. You won't care how many followers you had. You won't care how many zeros were in your account. You'll care about one thing. Did I become the man I was born to be? And the truth is, most men die with their best still inside them. Not because they didn't want more, but because they settled for less. They let fear drive. They let doubt decide. They let other people's opinions drown out their own inner voice. And then they ran out of time. Don't let that be you. Don't let your story end with unfinished pages, with dreams buried under convenience. Your time is now. What do you want to be remembered for? What will your son say when someone asks, "What kind of man was your father?" What will your daughter whisper when she talks about you to her future children? Will they say, "He was there, he stood tall, he never quit"? Or will they say, "He was angry, absent, small"? Because that choice is being made right now. Not in some far-off day, but in this moment. Every action, every habit, every decision builds a legacy, one step at a time. You don't need to change the whole world, but you better change your corner of it. Be the man your family can lean on. Be the man your friends know they can count on. Be the man your enemies respect. Be the man your future self admires. Not because you were perfect, but because you were real. Because when life knocked you down, you got back up. When people doubted you, you didn't flinch. When your own mind betrayed you, you stood tall anyway. And here's what most people don't realize. You don't have to be rich to be a role model. You don't have to be famous to be great. You don't need six-pack abs or a blue check mark. You need courage. You need integrity. You need the guts to do the right thing when it's hard. Because character is louder than any title. Presence is stronger than any performance. Real men don't need to prove who they are. They just live it. You've been through things. You've seen pain. You've had days you didn't think you'd survive, and yet, you're still here. Why? Because something inside you won't die. Because there's a fire in you that refuses to go out. And maybe, just maybe, that's not an accident. Maybe you were built for something more. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're being forged. Shaped by every trial, sharpened by every betrayal, strengthened by every moment you chose not to quit. And I'll ask you this one last time. When you're gone, what will they say? What story will they tell about you? Will your life inspire others to rise, or warn them what happens when a man stays small? Will your name be spoken with pride, or forgotten like the wind? Because your legacy isn't built in eulogies. It's built in choices, and you're making them every day. So here's the final decision. You can go back to comfort, to mediocrity, to excuses. You can forget everything you just heard, pretend it didn't hit you, scroll to the next thing. Or you can take this moment and let it mark the beginning of your rise. No more waiting, no more running, no more shrinking. You've got one life, one chance, and everything you want, everything that matters, is on the other side of discomfort. So get up, look the world in the eye, and say it with your chest. I am that man, and from this moment on, I live like it.